On the 5th anniversary of my unrequited love for Chloe, she brought a guy home for my birthday party. She held his hand with an easy confidence, her laughter echoing in the crowded room. "Aren't you tired of this?" she asked me, her voice light. "You should look at someone else." She tilted her head and casually pointed toward a slender girl who was pretending to be asleep on the sofa in a dimly lit corner of the room. "How about Maya? Maybe you could give her a shot." A faint, tired smile touched my lips. "Sure," I said, my voice barely a whisper. A short while later, Chloe was pounding on the door to the room where Maya and I had ended up. Her eyes were red, and she was grinding her teeth. "Let Leo out!" she demanded. I opened the door just a crack, woken from a light doze. "Who is it, Maya?" I asked from just inside the doorway. Maya leaned against the doorframe, the fresh marks on her collarbone standing out starkly against her pale skin. She smiled, a lazy, satisfied expression on her face. "Just the delivery guy," she replied, her voice smooth as silk. "What's taking Chloe so long?" Gloria shouted from inside the main suite where the party was still going. Someone else answered. "She went to go pick someone up. They're on their way now." Who could possibly be so important that she had to go get them herself? The question hung in the air, and I felt a familiar knot of unease tighten in my stomach. I looked down at my phone, the screen still illuminated by the message I'd sent to Chloe an hour ago. "Are you almost here?" No reply. I scanned the room, recognizing nearly all of her friends. Most of them were already here. The unease grew. In the next moment, the suite door swung open. I turned my head, and the sight felt like a physical blow. Chloe, who was usually so reserved and cool, was wearing a soft, gentle smile as she stood huddled close to a man I didn't recognize. He was wearing a simple white shirt, and Chloe's own jacket was draped over his shoulders as he leaned into her. The chatter in the room died down instantly, and I could feel dozens of eyes shift from them to me. I blinked, trying to clear the sudden sting from my eyes, trying to make sense of the subtle shifts in Chloe's expression. It was a painful realization. Her normally cool gaze now held a warm glow, and the slight curve of her smile was wider and more genuine than any I had ever received from her. It was clear she was genuinely taken with this guy. The young man in the white shirt stuck his tongue out in a moment of awkward charm. "Sorry we're a little late," he said. "It's Chloe's fault. She wanted to stay in the car a bit longer." He then looked directly at me. "You must be her brother," he continued. "She said it's her brother's birthday today and she wanted us to meet. Before he could finish his name, Chloe cut him off, affectionately ruffling his hair. She then turned her gaze to me, her voice clear and carrying across the quiet room. "Leo, call him brother-in-law." I stared at her, her form silhouetted against the bright light of the hallway. Her features were as delicate as I remembered. The perfectly formed nose, those captivating, sparkling eyes. I had met her when I was 16 and fallen completely for her by the time I was 18. In all the years since, I had watched her admire mountains, rivers, and fields of flowers, but her gaze had never once turned to me with that same appreciation. She had kissed me once while she was drunk, only to soberly explain that she'd mistaken me for someone else. She would often say things like, "Leo, as long as I'm around, no one will dare to bully you." And I suppose I always imagined she might dislike me, or even hate me, but that she would never truly abandon me. I never thought it would happen today. After all these years, with our feelings tangled into a complicated mess, I was more exhausted than anyone, more desperate to finally let go. This birthday was supposed to be my last attempt, a final chance for myself. But I hadn't realized that she was even more eager to sever the connection than I was. Taking a deep breath, I forced a smile. "Hi, I'm Leo." In the dim lighting of the room, I might have imagined it, but I thought I saw Chloe's face falter for a split second before her own smile returned. "Leo, I hope this isn't another one of your tricks," she said. I knew she was referring to an incident a year ago when I pretended to go on a blind date she had set up, only to leave the person waiting at the restaurant. I pushed a knife into the center of the 3-tiered birthday cake, my voice steady. "You're overthinking it." She remained skeptical, a smirk playing on her lips. "Maybe you really should look at other girls." Suddenly, she raised her hand and pointed to the girl in the corner. "I think Maya isn't so bad. You should give it a try." The girl she was pointing at wore a black top, her arms crossed as she lounged on the couch. A black bucket hat was pulled down low, hiding most of her face and giving her an unapproachable air. She was Maya Lin, the youngest daughter of the Lin Group and a top-tier professional race car driver. She never seemed particularly close with Chloe, and they didn't socialize much, which made her presence here tonight all the more strange. Everyone in our circle knew I held no real influence with Chloe, but this wasn't the time to dwell on that. Chloe had effectively blocked my exit, trying to dismiss me. I stood up, glanced at Chloe one last time, and then walked with a newfound sense of purpose toward Maya. I gently shook her shoulder to wake her up. As she lifted her hat, her sleepy eyes, still slightly dazed, focused on me. Her tone was surprisingly familiar. What's up?" The thing was, we weren't familiar at all. I had barely spoken a handful of words to her over the years, and we had certainly never exchanged contact information. Staring at her fair and delicate face, I felt a wave of embarrassment. I mustered my courage, pulling a business card from my wallet and handing it to her, pretending to ask with a calm I did not feel. "If you ever have a need for custom mechanical arms, you can contact our company." My voice was so quiet that only she could have possibly heard it. To Chloe and everyone else in the room, it must have looked like I was simply handing her a card, perhaps extending an invitation. Maya seemed to wake up completely then. She ran a hand through her silky hair and let out a light chuckle. Her fingers pinched the corner of the card, and whether it was intentional or not, she made sure her voice was loud enough for others to hear, her tone laced with amusement. "All right, I'll contact you then." I turned away calmly, walked back to the cake, took a symbolic spoonful, and then simply told everyone to enjoy themselves before I walked out of the suite without a single look back. As I passed by Chloe, she wore no hint of the triumphant expression I had expected to see. Instead, she looked grim. She tugged hard on the arm of the man in the white shirt standing beside her, ignoring his repeated winces of pain. As I walked past her, I thought to myself, "Goodbye, Chloe." After I left, the room erupted in chatter. "Chloe, aren't you worried that Leo will actually leave you for good this time?" "No way. You know how much he loves Chloe. He probably just got angry. He'll be back, obedient as ever in a couple of days." "True. Chloe has messed around a lot over the years, and he's always been right there at her beck and call." But then someone else chimed in. "But Chloe, Leo is so handsome, and he's been so devoted to you for all this time. How come you never fell for him?" Chloe took a sip of her drink and replied with indifference. "What, you like him?" That person sheepishly scratched their head, muttering, "Well, he doesn't like me." Then someone turned to Maya and asked teasingly, "By the way, Maya doesn't like Leo's type, does she? His plan to use you to make Chloe jealous might just fail." Maya's gaze was still fixed on the business card in her hand. Hearing her name, she lifted her fox-like eyes, idly playing with the card. She chuckled. "How do you know I'm not interested?" As soon as she said it, the room fell silent. Instinctively, Chloe tightened her grip on her wine glass and turned to look at her. Their eyes met across the room, one pair filled with a hint of anger, the other smirking with a teasing confidence. After a long moment, Maya propped her chin on her hand and said, "Don't mind me. I was just joking." Chloe shrugged and smiled with practiced indifference. "If you like him, go ahead. Maybe I'll even contribute to your wedding gift." Then, as an offhand remark, she added, "But you might be disappointed. Leo is stubborn. Once he sets his mind on someone, it's for life. It would be hard to win him over." She swirled the wine in her glass. "Especially since he's never liked people who race." The message was unmistakable. Chloe was smugly and confidently letting Maya know that Leo would only ever have eyes for her. Maya simply narrowed her gaze at Chloe, showing no emotion beyond a slight curl of her lips. But that small smile was glaringly obvious to Chloe, though she told herself she couldn't care less. In a few days, Leo would be at her door with homemade soup. After all these years, she was sure she knew him well enough. Chloe's current boyfriend was a rising star named Dylan, and everyone said she was serious about him this time. Chloe had even assigned her top agent to personally manage his career, and had once arranged for hundreds of drones to light up the sky just to make him smile. I looked at my phone, awestruck by the news photos of the drones spelling out Dylan's name and forming a massive image of his happy face, a spectacle that was now capturing hearts all over the internet. Scrolling through the endless stream of adoring comments, I let out a small, bitter smirk. Then, I landed on Dylan's social media page. There was a picture of him with a caption that read, "Loved so well by someone." On his wrist was a luxury watch. I remembered a few weeks ago, when Chloe had asked me what I wanted for my birthday. We had been walking past a high-end jewelry store, and I had pointed out that very watch displayed prominently in the window. Chloe had asked casually if I liked it. Now it was a gift for someone else. The thought cut deep for a moment, until a knock on my office door pulled me back to reality. "Leo, the partners have some questions about the product data. The marketing team also needs you to take a look," my colleague Mark informed me. I nodded, pushed my personal feelings aside, and dove straight into my work. In the meeting room, I was startled to see the girl in the sharp business suit. Her fitted pencil skirt accentuated her curves, and she looked starkly different from the laid-back person I had seen at the party the other night. I fidgeted with my notebook, feeling a bit uneasy. Maya was actually here to buy robotic arms? What would a professional racer possibly need those for? She spun around in her chair, her smile effortlessly friendly. "Forgot about me so soon, Leo?" Mark's eyes went wide with gossip, his head craning forward like an old turtle. "So you and our Leo know each other?" Maya shot him a look that immediately shut down his curiosity. "He pitched your products to me." I nervously asked, "Miss Lynn, which data points are you concerned about?" Mark, ever the seasoned businessman, quickly got to his feet. "Leo, explain everything thoroughly to Miss Lynn. If it gets late, take her out for a nice dinner and show her a good time." Left alone with Maya, she suddenly said, "I can quit racing." "What?" I looked up, confused. Though I wasn't an expert, I had read articles hailing Maya as Asia's top F1 racer, a once-in-a-generation talent. "It's nothing," she dismissed, pointing to a random spot on the spreadsheet. "These figures are different from the typical market data. Why is that?" As she leaned in, a pleasant, light fragrance wafted over. I carefully explained, using a design schematic to illustrate my points. It turns out, it's quite simple. Our core technology involves several compact, innovative improvements. I could have wrapped up the entire explanation in 10 minutes, but Maya asked so many questions that the meeting dragged on until noon. When the clock chimed, she seemed to take a deep breath before casually mentioning that it was lunchtime. I felt grateful for her helping me out the other night, so, still holding my laptop, I joked, "How about I treat you to lunch?" During the meal, I noticed many people sneaking glances at Maya. She was beautiful, and as a top racer, her face was already a frequent sight in commercials. She had just returned from a competition abroad and seemed tired, barely touching her food as she poked at the contents of her plate. "I heard Sam got you 8 female models," she said. I nearly choked on my water, my face burning with embarrassment. When I had finally broken things off with Chloe, my friend Sam had been so relieved that he had celebrated by sending 8 models to my apartment. I had opened the door to find a line of elegant women, all different types, who declared they weren't leaving until morning unless I paid their exorbitant fee. "Quite the stamina you've got," Maya muttered mockingly. I quickly waved my hands in denial. "No, nothing happened." She smiled faintly, and then casually unbuttoned the top button of her shirt, revealing her pale neck and collarbone. "Leo," she said, tapping the table with 2 fingers. "Weren't you thinking of trying me out? I'm cleaner than them." My mind went completely blank. I stared at her in disbelief, a bit of cream from my dessert hanging forgotten from my lip. I had just gotten out of one turbulent, all-consuming relationship. There was no way I was going to jump right into another one, and this situation felt incredibly unfair to Maya. No matter how I framed it, I couldn't use someone's feelings just to distract myself from my pain over another. After thinking for a moment, I whispered, "Rabbits don't eat the grass around their own burrow." Maya raised an eyebrow, her sly, fox-like eyes glinting. "I will. As long as it's you, I'll eat any grass." "You might have misunderstood," I said, trying to hide a smile and keep a straight face. "When I said the grass around the burrow, I meant you." "Chloe really is unlucky," she said, tilting her head as if remembering something. "The business card you gave me, is that your work number?" I nodded. The card only had my professional contact information, a number I used exclusively for work. "Can't I have your personal number?" she asked, her lips pressing together into a thin line. After a pause, she looked a bit sad. "It's okay if I can't. No worries." The beautiful young woman lowered her eyes, and a small, teardrop-shaped mole just below her eye looked like it might shatter. Something possessed me, and I took out my personal phone. Later, I told Sam about what happened with Maya, and he rushed over looking worried. "Leo, don't be a fool," he said. "Maya runs with Chloe and her crowd. Who knows what kind of bets they're making behind your back? Maybe they're setting you up just to have a laugh at your expense later. I know Chloe too well." I nodded like a pecking chicken. I know, I won't do anything reckless." But then Sam's face suddenly twisted into a strange grin. "Let her try to bait you or whatever. But make sure you sleep with her first. Maya's got the looks, the money, and the body. She's worth it." "Sam?" I called out, exasperated. Right then, my phone, which was sitting on the table, started to ring. It was Chloe. "Leo," she drawled, her voice lazy and familiar coming through the receiver. "Do I really have to be the one to coax you? You won't even answer my calls." Just as Sam was about to start yelling into the phone, I motioned for him to stop and calmly said, "Chloe, aren't you the one who told me not to like you anymore? If there's nothing important, please don't call. Your boyfriend wouldn't like it." Chloe was silent for a moment. Then she let out a short, sharp snort. "Fine. Let's see who you end up liking, Leo." The call ended abruptly. I gripped the phone tightly in my hand. Sam once told me that I was Chloe's puppet, summoned and dismissed at her will. He had harshly suggested that I wasn't even a backup plan, that Chloe wouldn't look my way, even if she had no other options. Only I knew why Chloe was always so certain I would never leave her. Those who have walked through complete darkness are reluctant to let go of a source of light, even if that light no longer shines for them. At 16, my life went from happiness to ashes. An unexpected accident at the factory where my parents worked took them from me, leaving me an unwanted orphan. A white cloth covered 2 charred bodies. A policeman shielded my eyes. "Don't look. Just say goodbye to your mom and dad." The incident caught the attention of a journalist who wrote a long article exposing the lies surrounding the accident, which the Harrison family, the factory owners, had claimed was due to my parents' negligence. To calm the ensuing public outrage, Mr. and Mrs. Harrison begged to adopt me, then had their charitable act broadcast far and wide. Their company's stock prices soared. Dressed in the cheapest, most worn-out clothes, I entered the Harrisons' mansion and lived in the maids' quarters for 7 years. They would toss me a set of decent clothes for appearances whenever their reputation needed a boost, and I would smile for the cameras. Like when my stellar exam scores got me into a prestigious university, they shamelessly grinned for the photographers, accepting praise for raising such a fine young man. "We owe it to Mr. G. For 4 years we've been very attentive to Leo's life and studies. We never miss a parent-teacher meeting." In truth, after enrolling me in that elite high school, they had left me to fend entirely for myself. In that privileged circle, news and gossip spread like wildfire. "Who knew he could be so cunning? They say he's not very bright." I wasn't unintelligent. I was shell-shocked, suffering from severe PTSD after my parents' death. My reactions were dulled for about a year, but they labeled me. "Here comes the fool again. You really can't judge a book by its cover. A rich kid once accused me of leeching off their wealth so soon after my parents died." "If I were your parent," he sneered, "I'd rise from the grave. You didn't even let their bodies get cold before you started calling other people your family." I looked up, my eyes dark, and quietly protested, "It's not like that. The Harrisons adopted me." But that explanation only fueled their disdain, as if my poverty was the greatest crime of all. It was only later that I understood that my very existence disrupted their cherished sense of social hierarchy. Someone from the lower rungs of society shouldn't be standing among them. "Leo, what's with your arrogance? Why don't you bow your head?" Bullying is rarely the act of just one person. Nobody wants to be the one singled out. But once there's an instigator, everyone else blindly follows, escaping individual blame while their most primitive, extreme emotions come to the surface. A red-headed guy once flicked a lit cigarette down the collar of my shirt, shrugging as he said, "Sorry, my hand slipped." A boy in shorts locked me in a bathroom stall, then reported to the teacher that I was skipping class. A round-faced, friendly-looking boy handed me a box of cookies with thumbtacks hidden inside. They all laughed as blood trickled from the corner of my mouth. I tried turning to the teachers for help, but they were powerless. One teacher who had once tried to stand up for a bullied student ended up with 2 broken ribs. A young, newly graduated female teacher couldn't meet my eyes. "Leo, if you're hurt, come to my office. I'll get you some ointment." I told the Harrisons what was happening, but they only looked on coldly. "If you would just leave other people alone, why would anyone pick on you? Don't make trouble for us." Silently, I lowered my head and returned to the darkness. Then, Chloe appeared. She was like a goddess, lifting me out of my despair. Her family owned the largest share of the city's top high school, making her untouchable. At 16, she had long, ash-gray hair and wore the pure white school uniform with a rebellious flair. One day, after I had been shoved into the campus swimming pool, she arrived and kicked one of the bullies away with ease, brightening the shadows that had enveloped my life. "What's with this fat dog? Was your mom planning to give birth to a beast?" She sneered at him. "Get lost." I wiped the murky water from my face and looked up at her, silhouetted against the light. She seemed to glow, haloed by the sunlight streaming through the large, carved windows. "Are you okay?" she asked. I shook my head. wiping my face and grabbing the carton of milk they had tossed on the ground. "Thanks," I murmured, clutching the milk carton tightly. I remembered how they always said that people like me were dirty, how they were scared of catching germs by eating near me. The girl stood with her hands in her pockets, bending slightly. "What's your name?" "Leo." "Which class?" "Freshman, class 5. At that moment, I wondered if my parents had seen that I was being bullied and had sent someone to protect me. No one could have guessed that Chloe would become my guardian angel during those dark teenage years. I would sit upright at my desk, completely focused on solving problems, while the teasing continued endlessly around me. Just when I had grown used to it, Chloe grabbed a wooden stick from who knows where and fiercely struck the hand of a boy who was taunting me, leaving it raw and bruised. Then she glanced back at me casually. "What are you staring at? Get on with your work." Later, she fearlessly declared in front of everyone, "Leo, if he hits you, you hit him back. If you kill him, I'll take the blame." I held the stick she gave me, shaking my head repeatedly. She scoffed. "Coward? When they bully you, they think the same thing. If you kill him, the worst-case scenario is a payout. Who doesn't have some cash?" "I can't," I said, no longer speaking slowly, my voice serious. "We can't fight violence with violence. We can call the cops." She raised an eyebrow. "You might as well just beg me. I'm more useful than the police." I walked with big steps behind her, one step at a time. The summer wind rustled through the leaves of the trees, their shadows falling obliquely across the path. Her shadow fell on me, and my shadow fell behind hers. She often told me, "Focus on your studies. Just keep reading your books." And because of her, nobody pulled on my collar or used my notebooks to clean the floor anymore. She went to the Harrisons' mansion and sat down boldly, showing no respect. "Mr. Harrison, if you can't raise a son, just say so. I'll help you." At 17, Chloe dyed her silver hair back to a natural black, and her features became even more sharp and expressive. Later, those bullies were exposed one by the media. Nobody dared to suppress the news this time, and their parents all ended up at Chloe's house. Chloe raised her chin toward me as I stood there, clutching the straps of my backpack. "Make those brats kneel and apologize properly to him. Then I'll consider letting this go." Gradually, I straightened my hunched back. I lifted my head, which had always been lowered, and I started to walk through the school with my eyes looking forward. Those classmates who had previously been warned against talking to me began to openly smile and greet me. My life was no longer stuck in the mud. I lived like a normal person. I could laugh and get angry. The sleeping pills, the knife, and the rope I had hidden away in my room were never needed again. The year I turned 18, Chloe took me to see the fireworks. "I like you," I said, nervously tugging on her sleeve. "Chloe." No one knew how long it had taken me to practice saying those 3 words. She turned to look at me, momentarily surprised, before pulling out her phone to record. "Say it again." Though I was confused, I stammered and blushed, repeating the words. She didn't say if it was good or bad. She just ruffled my hair. "All right, I got it." Feeling a bit lost, I lowered my head and never brought it up again. That confession lingered between us for 5 whole years. It was as if I had handed her a knife to wound me with, becoming her unwavering support, allowing her to act rampantly, with no fear. It was as if my confession had unleashed some dark desire in her. Throughout those years, she had a string of boyfriends that was like a revolving door, vibrant, sweet, domineering types. But without exception, none of them ever stayed for more than 2 weeks. Sometimes her boyfriends would come to me, crying as if the sky was falling. Chloe, on the other hand, always remained cold and indifferent. She would smile gently, but her tone would be icy. Did I ever tell you to stop appearing in front of me? Let's end things on good terms. Don't you get it? I sometimes wondered if, back when I was 18, I had never confessed, would Chloe have turned out this way? I rested my head in my hands, the memories pricking at me like thorns. Tears fell steadily onto my desk. Initially, I had wanted to ask her why she had saved me, only to later discard me like an old rag. But eventually those questions lost their meaning. My phone lit up. A message popped up. There's a party on the 7th at 8 p.m. I sent the clothes over. Be on time, ho. Chloe. She was always like this, hurting me recklessly, and then casually demanding my time. She always believed that I couldn't live without her. I deleted the message, then went into my contacts and blocked her number, her social media, everything. Chloe, the kindness you showed me in my youth, I have repaid with years of devotion. It's you who didn't want it. Since you didn't want my love, I'll take it all back. Maya's approach was as bold as she was, invading my life within just a few days. I heard she had gotten lost when she was 7 years old and was only found again by her family when she was 13. So now they were making up for lost time by lavishing her with anything she wanted. For example, a major project that was originally slated to go to her older sister's company was given to her without a second thought, just because she asked for it. Backed by immense family wealth and a formidable reputation she had built from a young age, Chloe had once described her as talented but arrogant, with a terrible temper and a long list of demands. I stared at her profile picture, bewildered by what she could possibly want from me. I couldn't believe that she suddenly liked me. We had known each other for years. If she had feelings for me, it wouldn't have just started now. All those years of insecurity and sensitivity had consumed me. My love for Chloe had taken all of my courage, so much so that I felt completely unworthy of love, let alone from someone as dazzling as Maya. Leo, my friend Sam said, frustrated, you're more than worthy. You deserve someone like Maya 8 times over. For all these years, it's been Chloe's fault. She's been pulling all the strings, knowing how you feel but still dragging you along and controlling you. I mean, did you commit some major crime that she has on you to make you listen to her like this? I widened my eyes, shaking my head. No, I'd never do something like that. Sam rolled his eyes toward the ceiling. He had been my only good friend over the years, the only one who didn't mind that I sometimes thought a little slower than others. Sam, I won't like Chloe anymore, I promise. I won't listen to her either. I'll trust you this one last time, he said, tapping my forehead. He then reminded me, whether there's love or not doesn't have to stop you from having some fun, especially with someone like Maya. Just go for it. Maya had a private racetrack in the west suburbs, a massive facility spanning almost 80,000 square meters. It was where she trained since coming back home, and she kept a top-notch racing team there for daily practice. Leo, today's prize is a top-quality diamond. It's not worth much. You should win it so you can mess around with it. It's cool. To her, the diamond wasn't worth much, but on the market it would be valued in the tens of thousands. Maya was dressed in a red and white racing suit, a black helmet tucked under her arm as she leaned lazily against the railing. She was tall, with long legs, and her black hair was neat and sleek. I turned to look at her, squinting in the bright sunlight, and said seriously, I don't want it. When you take something from someone, you owe them. Maya looked down at my serious side profile and chuckled softly. Her every move was perfectly calibrated, never too aggressive and never awkward. Yet she wasn't naturally gentle. She was wild, unrestrained, and openly bold. When the race started, Maya sat in the car, her face hidden under the black helmet. Her dark eyes locked onto me, sitting in the stands. She smiled silently, as if to say, "Wait for me, Dot." The tires screeched, and the dazzling blue car roared off like a swift arrow. The big screen in the center of the venue tracked each car, with in-car cameras providing real-time feeds of the drivers. Maya looked calm as she braked and turned with smooth efficiency, showing no panic even at the sharpest curves. The steering wheel spun hard, and the high-grip tires screeched loudly against the asphalt. The car's spoiler scraped against the guardrail, sending a shower of brilliant sparks into the air. A perfect drift. As the thrilled crowd cheered, Maya ran over to me, slightly breathless. Her fox-like eyes curled at the corners when she smiled, and that tiny, teardrop-shaped mole seemed to lift with her expression. She casually measured the diamond against my hand, seriously trying to find the right spot for it. Looking into her eyes, all I could see was my own reflection. I blinked. Her warm breath seemed to fill my chest, making my heart race. Leo. Stunned, I replied. What's my name? She laughed. What a tease. I pursed my lips and slowly broke into a grin. A black Bugatti was parked by the side of the road. The empty, quiet road was wrapped in a dark, damp atmosphere. Breathe. Don't hold it in, Maya whispered. She moved away from my lips, which were soft and shiny from her kiss. She amusingly used her fingers to wipe them. Just as she finished talking, Maya leaned in for another kiss. Every kiss came with a gentle nibble. Her kisses moved down to my collarbone, licking and tearing at my shirt. My chest beat wildly as if it wanted to challenge her commanding kiss. Maya. My voice was a soft mutter between our lips. Take it slow. A sultry, intoxicating voice made my scalp tingle. She buried her head in my neck, her voice as luring as a siren's song. Use me, then. Whether it's for revenge or for tension relief, she tempted. I'm willing. No strings attached. In the darkness, she was like a fallen angel, luring me step by step into her world. The only thing I remember clearly from that night is that at the end, she had me leave a deep, possessive mark on that pale, firm collarbone. Chloe, what are you up to? Hurry up already! The birthday girl, Sarah, shouted at Chloe, who was standing on the balcony. Greg leaned over to glance at Chloe's phone and blurted out, Did Leo block you? Chloe shot him a cold glance, turned off her phone, and said flatly, I've spoiled him these past few years. Greg hissed and gave her a fair warning. You better be careful. He might be serious this time. Don't come crying to me later. Chloe looked at the distant city lights, squinting slightly as she twirled her phone between her fingers. Greg, she said confidently, he can't forget me. He'll never forget me in this life. Who can forget the light that saves them? Greg had met Chloe later on, so he didn't know much about our shared past. He motioned with his chin toward the party inside. Maya came tonight too. I can't believe she actually showed up for Sarah's birthday. Chloe and Maya were not exactly close. Their worlds barely overlapped. Maya's sudden friendly gesture 3 years ago had even surprised Chloe herself. After the initial excitement, a group of them gathered to play cards. Sarah noticed the mark on Maya's neck, pointing at it as she excitedly asked, Maya, did you get a boyfriend? For a moment, the card table went quiet, and everyone looked at her simultaneously. Chloe, who had been fiddling with her phone on the couch, paused and lifted her gaze as well. After a moment, Maya nonchalantly touched the spot on her neck and replied, No. People thought she was going to say it was an injury or something, but Maya smoothly added, Still pursuing. Once it's official, I'll bring him to meet you all. She tossed a card onto the table, reigniting the room's energy. Everyone cheered her on. Of course you'll make it. Who could possibly resist Maya's charm? I'm waiting to see which young master managed to enchant our Maya. Chloe, you're impressive. Leo and Maya really don't stand a chance. Maya lowered her head and quietly looked at Chloe. Their eyes met, and Maya gave a distant smile. She wasn't ready for Chloe to find out just yet. Leo hadn't fully opened up to her, and she felt insecure about her ability to keep him. Plus, being the newcomer in this long-standing dynamic, their shared history weighed heavily on her, making her feel like she was constantly playing catch-up. Besides, she worried that if Chloe found out that someone else truly cared for Leo, she might not let go so easily and would come back to complicate things. At that point, she felt even less sure if Leo would ditch her for Chloe. Chloe, staring hard at the mark on Maya's collarbone, found it especially glaring. After a while, she looked away, trusting her gut feeling that it couldn't be what it looked like. Leo was well behaved. He wouldn't do such a thing. That day, the Harrisons called me. "What on earth are you doing out there? Why have all our business deals with Chloe's family suddenly stopped? Are you completely useless? You can't even keep a handle on Chloe now? Go and apologize to her immediately. How dare you defy her?" I replied coldly, "Aren't the Harrisons satisfied after benefiting from my connection to her for so many years? Don't forget, I have no legal relationship with you, and I am not obligated to work for you." If Chloe was willing to work with the Harrisons, it was only because of a few favors she was letting go of on a whim. The Harrisons were completely out of touch, thinking that they could demand whatever they wanted from Chloe. Yet I hadn't expected these deals to mean so much to them, enough for them to join forces against me. In the penthouse suite of a hotel on the 65th floor, I collapsed to the floor, my body feeling weak and overheated. My phone had already been taken from me. Rushing into the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face, trying to cool down the heat that was surging through me. I shattered a glass on the sink and, without hesitation, made a sharp cut on my arm. My mind cleared for a moment. I stood in front of the brightly lit mirror, looking disheveled, with blood and water mingling on my skin. Before that, at the homecoming banquet for the Harrisons' own daughter, they had dared to make a move on me so openly. The hotel door swung open, and someone walked in with leisurely footsteps, leaning against the doorframe. I was relieved to see it was Chloe, and I let out a breath as I slid down to the ground. Before I lost consciousness, I heard Chloe kick a chair and shout, "Amy!" When I woke up in the hospital, Chloe was playing on her phone by the bedside. I moved my hand, and she looked over, saying coolly, "You really get outplayed at every step. All my years of teaching you went to waste." I didn't answer her. I just grabbed my clothes and got out of bed. "Leo," she spoke, her voice steady, "would it kill you to just soften up to me for once? Just ask, and I'll fix your family's problems." I looked at her. "Chloe, I don't have the energy to play these games with you. Please, just stay out of their mess." "Fine," she nodded. "But you better not come crawling back to me." Amy Harrison, known for her pristine, charitable image, had kept that image solid for years, with me being her biggest pawn. Now, with the evidence I had in hand, I couldn't destroy them completely, but I could at least make them suffer. Overnight, scandals about the Harrisons' past, their questionable orphan adoptions, and Amy's fake charity surfaced online, causing their company's stock to plummet. Such a seemingly small incident, so easily pushed aside in the past, had now spiraled out of their control. By the time I realized they were reaching a critical point, with no one knowing who had caused it all, I saw Chloe again at a high society banquet. Greg brightened up when he saw me and nudged Chloe with his elbow. "Hey, Leo's here. You really got him figured out." They had apparently been betting on whether I would show up that night. Everyone had bet against it, except for Chloe, who had lazily said it was a great chance for me to make up with her after sulking for so long. Chloe glanced at me, sizing me up without moving from her spot. After a moment, she came over, her tone a bit detached. "Why are you so late? Whatever, just stick with me and don't wander off." I looked at her outstretched hand and calmly shook my head. "I'm not here for you." "Come on, Leo. Are you still messing with me?" She sounded unconvinced. "Without my invitation, how would you have even gotten in here?" But she abruptly stopped talking, her lips pressing into a tight line, her eyes turning chilly. I turned to see Maya, dressed in a stunning red gown, standing behind me. She gently looped her arm through mine. Chloe's gaze turned fierce at the sight of Maya's hand on my arm. "What brings you here?" Maya leaned affectionately on my shoulder, ignoring Chloe completely. "Greg, you guys go ahead. Leo and I have to step out for a bit." Sam, who was also there, opened his mouth, looking serious, not daring to meet Chloe's gaze, just nodding aimlessly. "Leo," Chloe suddenly spoke, a light, mocking chuckle in her voice. "You're so obedient. I tell you to be with Maya, and there you go. If I pointed to Gloria, would you go to her too?" Maya's grip on my arm tightened at Chloe's words. I winced slightly and looked at her. Maya lowered her head, her voice sounding resigned and joking at the same time. "Just say what you want. When the time comes, I'll have it your way." I patted her hand reassuringly and held it back. Now I was beginning to understand why Sam had said she was always the one playing second fiddle in her relationships. "Chloe," I said, my voice firm, "don't overestimate yourself. You're not that important. You're no longer that important. So nothing you do can affect my feelings." Chloe's face paled for a moment. She wasn't that important anymore? So whatever was happening between Leo and Maya had nothing to do with her. Greg, struggling for words, awkwardly tried to console her. "Well, it's probably a good thing. You've always said he's been clinging to you. Now that he's found someone else, you're free. Don't tell me you're feeling sorry now just because someone's competing with you for him," Greg silently added in his mind. "Crazy." Chloe glanced at him. "Didn't you say Maya wasn't into Leo's type?" Greg grudgingly continued. "She told me herself. Her family would never accept someone like him. Maya's probably just playing around. If you're really interested, just wait for them to break up." Meanwhile, in the Lin family's inner courtyard, Maya's second sister, Lisa, dressed in a black coat with her hair tied low in a jade pin, walked briskly in high heels. She stopped to tell the old man of the family, "Grandpa, Maya brought a young man home." The old man, who still had a lively spirit, pressed on his cane and raised his brows. "Maya, that girl's finally come around." The next morning my phone rang. "Leo, can you come to the hospital?" It was Sarah, and her voice sounded a bit urgent. "What happened? Did something happen to you?" "Not me, it's Chloe. She drank all night and has a stomach problem. They brought her to the hospital, but she won't let anyone near her and is insisting on staying put. Can you please come? She only ever listens to you when she's sick." "Sarah," I replied calmly, "please don't contact me about her anymore. In fact, please don't contact me at all anymore. No one is going to stay around forever. I hope she takes care of herself." "Leo," Sarah was anxious, "after all she's done for you, can't you just give her one last chance? You can't just leave her in the lurch like this." Chloe lay on the hospital bed, scrolling on her phone, her forehead covered in a thin layer of sweat. When she saw me, she tossed her phone aside and pulled her usual act, leaning her head on my shoulder. "You little ingrate! I'm in so much pain!" I nudged her head away, my tone flat. "Where's your boyfriend?" She shrugged, unconcerned. "We broke up ages ago. You and Maya are probably broken up by now, too. You played it big this time, I'll concede, okay?" She was still so unfazed, so perched atop it all, as if one word of submission from her and I would come running back, surrendering obediently. I looked at her silently for a while, and then shook my head. "Chloe, I really like Maya. I truly want to be with her. I accept her for who she is, not for some thrill or for vengeance. She is a remarkable person. I wouldn't use her as a tool, especially not for you," I said flatly. "It's just not worth it." Chloe stared into my eyes, searching for any sign of deceit. Unfortunately for her, she found none. What she saw in the eyes that were once filled with nothing but her was now filled with someone else entirely. I'm here for the last time, to say goodbye to the past. From now on, your life or death has nothing to do with me. The veins at Chloe's temple throbbed, caught between physical pain and extreme anger. She likely never believed that someone she had once so easily dismissed would one day walk away without so much as a look back. Leo, her voice was hoarse. After so many years, can you differentiate? Differentiate what? After so many years, can you really tell if your feelings for me were love or just gratitude? She sneered. If you really liked me as you claim, why didn't you ever get jealous when I had all those boyfriends? Whoever was nice to me, you were nice to them. Whoever I liked, you just smiled at them. Leo, can you really tell? Her last words were filled with bitterness and irony. No, I shook my head. But that was all of my feelings. Through all the hardships, I gave you the little I had left. As long as you were good to me, I would always like you. Eventually, I thought I would understand what it means to love you. But you never gave me the chance. You blocked every single path. She wanted me to soften again, to fall back under her control once more. After I said that, I didn't stick around. I turned and left. Sarah stopped me in the hallway. Thanks. I probably won't bother you anymore. She's just been too reliant on you these past years. She'll be fine once she finds someone she really likes. Seeing me nod, she smiled. You've been good to her all these years. You know, she helped you back then because of a bet she had with us. Don't take it to heart. It's all in the past now. Staring at her, I asked, A bet? She scratched her head. Yeah, didn't Chloe tell you? Don't get mad. Back then you looked so naive, so we made a bet. If Chloe could make you fall for her, we'd do whatever she wanted. The time limit was 3 months. When you didn't say you liked her by then, we all kind of forgot about it. Who knew she'd stick around with you for 2 years? We even mocked her for it. Sarah! Chloe, in her hospital gown, shouted from down the hall to interrupt her. Shut up! She clung to the doorframe, looking at me in a panic, as if someone had squeezed her heart, making her tremble. Through the silent, cold hallway, I looked at her. I saw the fearless girl who had always stood in front of me to protect me. So that's why. At 18, under the fireworks, she recorded my confession with her phone. It was all just a game to her. I started laughing. Leo! Chloe rushed toward me, cautiously trying to hold my shoulder. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I was a jerk before. Hit me, yell at me, do whatever you want. Don't touch me. I glared up at her, my voice defiant. Chloe, you turned me into a joke. If you had told me sooner, I wouldn't have hung around for so long. Watching me circle you like a dog? Did you laugh every night? Leo, you're such a good dog. A throwaway bone gets you all worked up. It wasn't like that, she wanted to explain, but a sudden, sharp stomach ache made her bend over, unable to hold herself up. I didn't spare her another glance and quickly left. Behind me, Sarah, knowing she had caused this trouble, rushed to help Chloe up. Chloe could only grab her arm and say, Stop him. When I walked out of the hospital, I felt a strange sense of peace, as if I had accepted it all. All the moments I had once considered my salvation turned out to be nothing more than a spur-of-the-moment gamble. But when I saw Maya waiting for me outside, my lips pressed together and tears began to fall. I opened my arms, and Maya gently hugged me. There you go. No one will see you cry now. Leo, Maya whispered, kissing my cheek. If you're uncomfortable, just tell me. I'm here. Take your time. I bit my lip and then bit down hard on her collarbone. Maya let out a suppressed breath. The next moment, a surge of emotion broke through any barrier I had left. Her hand on the back of my head stayed there, until her knuckles turned white. I let out a deep sob, resting my head on her chest and crying uncontrollably. "Maya! Maya!" I called her name incoherently. I couldn't tell if the holes in my heart hurt more, or if her efforts to hold me together did. Her eyes were red at the corners. She whispered through her teeth, "Next time, I'll do better." From broad daylight to complete darkness, I was gently placed into a clean, soft bed. A voice murmured, "After all these years, you finally looked back at me." Meanwhile, Chloe, unable to contact me, sat in her car under my apartment building all night, dressed in thin clothes. She looked up at the window, which had been briefly lit at dawn, feeling as if gravel was grinding painfully through her mind. She climbed the stairs to my floor and knocked hard on the door. Worried about disturbing the people inside, Maya quickly opened the door. She was leaning against it in a white t-shirt, and bruises were visible on her skin. Chloe clenched her fists, taking deep breaths, blood trickling from where her nails had dug into her palm. Avoiding the marks on Maya's body, she said harshly, "Tell Leo to come out." From inside, a voice called out, "Maya, who is it?" You could hear that it was hoarse from what had happened the night before. Chloe raised a hand to slap Maya, but Maya raised her arm to block the blow. Chloe closed the door behind her and said, echoing Maya's words from my birthday, "It's nothing, just a delivery guy. Go back to sleep." The two of them ended up wrestling. Chloe, worn out from a sleepless night and her illness, was quickly overpowered by Maya. Maya pinned Chloe's arms behind her back. Chloe rasped, "Maya, he's been with me since he was 16. I raised him." Feverish and confused, Chloe pleaded, "Maya, give Leo back to me. I'll do anything you want." Maya released her and sent a message to have building security drag her away. She patted Chloe's face. "His eyes were always on you, even when you ignored him. I wanted to slap you back then." "Did you get close to me just for Leo?" Maya, nonchalant, was caught by surprise. "You figured it out. You're not so dumb after all." "I thought of you as a sister," Chloe said, burning up, hoping to awaken some sense of conscience in Maya. "Of course," Maya laughed it off, unburdened. "Aren't you polite?" Proudly, she declared, "Remember, I'm the woman Leo chose, so only he can order me around, not the other way around." When I opened the door, wearing a coat, there were two disheveled people before me. One was lying on the ground, the other crouching, both covered in scrapes. Maya, who had been scowling, looked up at me, then down again, adjusting her sleeve to reveal the bruises Chloe had left on her arm. The two once high and mighty women now looked like they had been in a street brawl. Chloe stood up, a flush on her face. She was sick. Her fever always left her red from her face down to her neck, alarmingly so. She pulled a small blue velvet box from her pocket. Her trembling fingers opened it to reveal 2 rings. "When you were 18, you wished you could marry me, so I bought your favorite rings. Leo, let's go back and start over, okay?" Those were things I had dreamed of before. I had imagined countless times her turning back, holding my hand. But why do we always hope that shattered mirrors can be whole again? Those things I had once so desperately wanted now, right in front of me, they didn't stir a single emotion. With Maya clinging to me, biting her lip, she stubbornly held on. "Leo, don't believe her. People like her sound sweet but never cherish what they have. Don't be fooled." "Ruby," Chloe barked, her forehead throbbing, "have some shame." "Which is more important, shame or your husband?" Maya retorted with a snort. I swung open the door behind me, pushing Maya inside. "Stay put. Wait for me and don't come out," I whispered. I glanced at Chloe, speaking softly. "I'll see you out." "Chloe," I interrupted, "thank you for these years." When Maya was upset, she would complain about Chloe in my ear, but eventually she'd always sigh. I still have to thank her for protecting young Leo. Whether it was genuine or not, without Chloe, I might not have made it out of that high school alive. Believe it or not, for these past years, I have truly liked you, and not just out of gratitude. You were a massive part of my dark teenage years. Nobody doesn't love a godsend. Chloe, be happy for me. You didn't exhaust my courage to love. That's the biggest out you gave me in all the years between us. Chloe's eyes dampened as she unwillingly asked, Leo, am I really that unforgivable? I extended my right hand, slim and pale, with a simple ring on my fourth finger. See, I said gently, your repentance always comes too late. She bowed her head, tapping the ring with her index finger and giving a forlorn smile. In the past, I had always trailed behind her, looking up. This time I watched her retreat. As she stepped past the stairs, I remembered that summer when she had called my name from outside the Harrisons' villa. Leo, come down! Let's watch the sunset! Rushing down highways, a sea of blue and red chasing the setting sun. That was young love in the shadow of the trees. It was that night at 17 when she plunged into the Harrisons' pool to drag me out, saying she would face the world for me. Through the noisy crowd at 18 during my coming-of-age party, the fireworks, that first sip of alcohol, that first sign of rebellion. At every turn, there was Chloe. She once came toward me against the light, and now she walked the same way, against the crowd, away from the chasm in my life. Maya and I planned our wedding for a warm spring day, a $1 million event known throughout the city. Before the wedding, Chloe sent over a package with a set of legal documents from her lawyer. The note said very formally, "This is Miss Chloe's wedding gift for you." Maya truly went out of her way for me, determined that everyone understood how much she loved me. I once asked her why she liked me. She asked if I remembered the little girl from my childhood. Of course I remembered. The one my parents had saved from traffickers. We lived in a remote village back then. Before they sent her to the police, I gave her my favorite toy car. My mom had told me she was scared of the bad guys, so Leo had to protect her. Maya said she had later visited that village, but most of the people were long gone. Looking at her against the glow of the lights, she was so beautiful. Her exquisite features, her high nose bridge, and her charming eyes. She held me tightly. I thought I'd never have a chance. Your love was once so overwhelming and hopeless. Only someone like me, fearless and a bit clueless, could be so bold. Too bad, she smiled. You won't have such luck again. On the day of our wedding, Sam took pictures while laughing, then sent them directly to Chloe. Soon enough, he realized she'd blocked him. Unable to send any more pictures, he laughed even harder, knowing that Chloe had still been holding on to some hope, always thinking that Leo would eventually come back to her. Even with Maya by his side, Chloe had never imagined him actually marrying someone else. Only by seeing me married could Chloe perhaps finally understand what true loss meant. Chloe's car was parked across the street from the hotel where the wedding was being held. It was dark, the car tucked away in the shadows, the inside still and cold. She tapped on the driver's seat, her light-colored eyes hidden by the night's darkness, saying, "Greg, go take a look for me." Greg hesitated. "Won't you go see it for yourself? At least see him happy?" Chloe looked out the window, her mouth pulling into a slight, sad curve. "His happiness has nothing to do with me anymore. How should I feel watching it?" "Greg, he'll forget me eventually, but I guess I'll never forget. Forget him trailing a step behind me. Forget turning around to his capturing smile. Those eyes, always on me. How did it come to this? She had made mistakes, many of which were forgiven, but for this one, she was left behind. At first, she thought it was just a minor argument, just like so many before. In a few days, he'd softly call her name. She would act indifferent, but soon enough she'd be happier than anyone, seeking his comfort. "Leo, my stomach hurts." His skill for making soups was because of her. It was the only thing he knew how to make. But this time, the one who had always conceded had decided to walk away. They had reached an end with no path forward. At 16, the sapling she had tenaciously raised had now grown in someone else's heart. How would she ever let this go for the rest of her life?